I never thought I'd be the one to unravel a conspiracy, let alone one that could bring down a Wall Street titan like Apex Financial. My name's Emily Harper, a 38-year-old single mom who spent the last decade crunching numbers, not chasing villains. But life has a way of throwing you into the deep end when you least expect it. It started with a glitch, a flicker on my screen during a routine audit, a $12,700,000 0 cents discrepancy in Apex's blockchain ledger, flagged by the AI anomaly detection system I'd built from scratch. That number wasn't just a mistake, it was a scream in the dark, and I was the only one who heard it. The office was quiet that night, the kind of quiet that makes your heartbeat sound like a drum. I sat at my desk on the 47th floor, Manhattan's skyline glittering through the glass like a promise of something better. My team of 15 analysts had gone home hours ago, leaving me with nothing but coffee and code. Lila, my cybersecurity guru, had warned me about digging too deep. You're poking a bear," she'd said, her voice low like she knew something I didn't. Marcus, my junior analyst with a heart bigger than his paycheck, had offered to stay, but I sent him home. Derek, the ex-deputy sheriff who'd been gunning for my job since day one, had smirked as he left, muttering something about overtime for nothing. I ignored him. I always did. The discrepancy wasn't random. It was buried in a series of transactions tied to a client code I'd never seen before. Shadow 19. No name, no address, just whispers in the financial world about a foreign oligarch with enough clout to make governments flinch. I cross-checked the ledger against our backups, my fingers trembling as the numbers aligned. Or didn't. Someone had siphoned $12,700,000 0 cents, and they'd done it right under my nose. Worse, the system flagged the anomaly before I joined Apex 3 years ago. I wasn't the thief, but I was about to be the scapegoat. The next morning, everything went to hell. I walked into the boardroom for our quarterly review, expecting to present my findings to Victor Langston, Apex's CEO. Victor was a legend, charming, ruthless, the kind of man who could sell sand in a desert. His suits cost more than my car, and his smile could cut glass. I'd always admired him, maybe even envied him, until that day. The room was packed, board members, analysts, Derek smirking in the corner. Victor stood at the head of the table, his eyes locked on me like a predator sizing up prey. "Emily," he said, his voice smooth as whiskey. "Care to explain this?" He flicked a remote, and the 4K screen behind him lit up with a damning slide, my login credentials, timestamps, and a trail of transactions I'd never touched. The room gasped. My stomach dropped. "You've been stealing from Apex," Victor declared, his words slicing through the silence. $12,700,000 0 cents, funneled to an offshore account. "Your account." I froze. The accusation was a lie, but the evidence was flawless, too flawless. My mind raced, piecing together the setup. Someone had framed me, and Victor was the puppet master. I tried to speak, but my voice caught, drowned out by the murmurs of betrayal. Lila's eyes met mine, wide with shock. Marcus looked like he might cry. Derek's smirk widened. I was alone in a room full of people I thought I knew. "You're mistaken," I finally managed, my voice shaking but firm. "I found the discrepancy. I didn't cause it." Victor's laugh was cold, rehearsed. "Found it or covered it?" He turned to the board. "Emily's been with us 3 years. 3 years to earn our trust, and 3 years to betray it." The room spun. I thought of Ava, my 8-year-old daughter, waiting for me at home with her gap-toothed smile. If I was convicted, I'd lose her. The court would strip my custody faster than you can save felony. I couldn't let that happen. Not to her. Not to us. I left the boardroom in a daze, my heels clicking on the marble floor like gunfire. By noon, Victor had leaked the story to Bloomberg. My face was plastered across every financial news outlet, the headlines screaming, Apex analyst accused of $12.70 min crypto heist. They called me a fraud, a liar, a thief. My phone buzzed with notifications, hate messages, death threats, strangers on X doxing my address. I turned it off, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the screen. That evening, I drove home across the Manhattan Bridge, the city's lights blurring through my tears. I didn't notice the brakes failing until I was halfway across. The pedals sank to the floor, useless. My SUV lurched forward, picking up speed. The bridge's railing loomed closer, a steel promise of death. I screamed, yanking the wheel hard, scraping the car against the barrier with a sickening screech. Metal crunched, sparks flew. The car stopped inches from the edge, my heart pounding so loud I thought it had burst. Someone had tampered with my brakes. This wasn't an accident. It was a warning. I stumbled out, legs like jelly, and called Lila from a burner phone I kept for emergencies. "They tried to kill me," I whispered, my voice raw. She didn't hesitate. "Get to my place, now." I did, but not before noticing a black sedan idling at the bridge's end, its driver hidden behind tinted glass. Lila's apartment was a fortress of monitors and encrypted servers, her hacker haven. She handed me a coffee and a USB drive. "This came for you," she said, her voice tight. No sender, just a note. From Ghost. I plugged the USB into her air-gapped laptop, my pulse racing. It contained a single file, a partial ledger showing transactions to a Cayman Islands account linked to Victor. It wasn't enough to clear my name, but it was a start. Ghost, whoever they were, was on my side. Or playing a deeper game. The next day, I tried to access my office at Apex. My keycard was dead. My desk was cleared out, my files gone. Colleagues who'd once shared coffee with me now avoided my gaze, their whispers trailing me like ghosts. I was a pariah, cut off from the systems I needed to prove my innocence. That night, I used my personal laptop to access a cloud backup of Apex's ledger. It confirmed what I'd suspected. The fraud predated my tenure. I wasn't the thief, Victor was. But proving it would be a war, and I was running out of allies. Then my world cracked open again. I came home to find my apartment trashed. Drawers emptied, papers shredded. On my kitchen counter, scrawled in red marker, was a note, "Stop digging, or Ava pays." My blood ran cold. I grabbed my phone, called my sister in Boston, and begged her to take Ava for a while. "Don't ask why," I said, my voice breaking. "Just keep her safe." The threats didn't stop. The SEC summoned me, their questions sharp as knives. They believed Victor's lies, saw me as the mastermind. My lawyer, a grizzled ex-prosecutor, laid it out plain. "You're looking at 15 years if they pin this on you." I could barely breathe. Then came the ambush. I'd arranged to meet Ghost at a dive bar in Hell's Kitchen, hoping for more evidence. The place was crowded, the air thick with grease and regret. I waited in a booth, nursing a soda, when 3 masked men burst in. They didn't bother with subtlety. One grabbed my arm, another swung a fist. I ducked, adrenaline kicking in, and bolted for the back exit. The alley was a maze of dumpsters and shadows, but I ran, my lungs burning, until I lost them. I collapsed against a brick wall, my head throbbing from a glancing blow. I'd escaped, but barely. Back at Lila's, I found out Derek had betrayed me. He'd slipped malware onto my laptop, corrupting my evidence. Thank God for my paranoia. I'd saved a clean backup on a hidden cloud server. I restored it, my hands shaking, and sent Lila and Marcus to dig into Victor's private servers. They were risking everything for me, and I'd never felt so grateful, or so guilty. The dangers kept coming. My coffee at a board meeting tasted wrong, bitter, metallic. I spit it out, but not before my vision blurred. I woke up in the ER, a doctor telling me I'd been poisoned, but would live. Ghost sent another message, this time with a bombshell. Victor's Cayman Shell Company was just the tip of the iceberg. There was more, but I needed hard proof. I faced a choice. Go public with what I had, risking Ava's safety, or keep fighting in the shadows. I chose to fight. Lila and Marcus hacked Victor's emails, uncovering encrypted messages to a client in Dubai. Interpol got involved, freezing Apex's offshore accounts. Victor was rattled. I could see it in his eyes when he cornered me in a deserted parking garage. 5 million, he said, his voice low, dangerous. Take it and disappear, Emily, or you and Ava won't see next week. I stared into his eyes, my fear burning into defiance. Go to hell, I spat, my hand slipping to the recorder in my pocket. I had him now. The next day, I crashed the board meeting, hacking the projector to display Victor's Cayman transactions. The room erupted. Victor called it a fabrication, rallying his loyalists to suspend me. But the tide was turning. Lila leaked the boardroom video to X, and Justice for Emily trended with millions of views. The FBI raided Apex, seizing servers. I handed over my evidence, including Victor's recorded bribe. Victor fled, but I tipped off Interpol. They nabbed him at Teterboro Airport, his private jet grounded. I wasn't done. One of Victor's goons kidnapped me, locking me in a warehouse. I escaped, knocking him out with a fire extinguisher. My hands slick with sweat. Betrayal was a circus, broadcast live. I testified, facing Victor's shark-like lawyers. They tore into me, but I held my ground. Evidence piled up, $50 million, 0 cents in fraud across 3 continents, 2 board members implicated. Derek flipped, admitting he'd planted the malware, begging for a plea deal. Apex collapsed, filing for bankruptcy as clients pulled $2 billion, 0 cents in assets. I was offered chief compliance officer, a chance to rebuild. I took it, moving into Victor's old penthouse office, a symbol of my victory. I rehired Lila, Marcus, and others, forming Harper's Watchdogs, a transparent compliance unit. Victor got 12 years, his empire in ruins. My protocols became global standards, adopted by NASDAQ and the EU. I spoke at TED, my voice steady, inspiring millions. Ava and I healed, our bond stronger than ever. But the threats never stopped. A board member's death threat intercepted by the FBI, a hacker attack on Apex's new systems, thwarted by Lila's upgrades, a stalker at a conference, hinting at a larger conspiracy. Ghost's final email chilled me. This isn't over. They're watching. Who is Ghost? What's the syndicate behind Victor? Can Apex survive? Will I? The questions haunt me, but I'm not the same Emily anymore. I'm ready for whatever comes next.